Good morning. Today I want to go straight into Daniel chapter 6 without going to any further thoughts. As I said to you, we are going to discuss today one of the stories found in the book of Daniel, and this story happens to be about Daniel himself. Now remember, at this age, at this time, Daniel is quite an elderly man. Let's guess that he was perhaps about, let's say, 18 when he arrived in Babylon and graduated there. And it is about 70 years later that we find the story of Daniel, chapter 6. And here we see that Daniel, if it's 70 years later, must be in the region about 85, maybe even in his late 80s now, when this happens to him. Remember that young people are strong and they can endure, but when you get older, our bones become weak and feeble. But here we find Daniel, an excellent man, a man of great qualities. I want you to notice this, that because of his qualities, Darius appointed him with two others to be in charge of the other administrators that Darius had put in charge of his kingdom. Now, I want you to notice something. It says there in verse 3, "Now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom." You know, something that I want you to notice here about Daniel. Daniel doesn't rebel against this heathen king, this new heathen king. Daniel never rebelled against the king of Babylon. And as we read in Romans chapter 13, that we are to subject ourselves to ruling authorities. We are to serve them as good citizens, as if we were serving God. And here I find that Daniel does this. Then it says further, and I want you to see the plot as it is set out. Verse 4, "At this, because Darius was planning to make Daniel the second in command, you could say, in actual fact putting him in charge of the whole of Babylon, except to himself," it says there in verse 4, "At this, the other," and I'm just adding the word other, "administrators and the satraps tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel in his conduct of government affairs." It's strange that immediately what they try to do is they try to find fault with the way in which he administrated. They wanted to see if he was perhaps corrupt, if he accepted bribes, or if he did things dishonestly. And the word says to me there at the close of verse 4, "But they were unable to do so. They could find no corruption in him, because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent." Dear friends, what incredible qualities Daniel had. And you know, these are qualities that we as God's children, as God's followers, as those who claim to be children of God, these are the qualities that should be found in us. And I want to tell you here, it's because of these qualities that we are going to find that we are going to be persecuted. We are not going to be persecuted if we are bad people. In actual fact, we are going to be friends of the evil people. The Bible makes it very clear to me that birds of a feather flock together. But here I want you to understand that the reason why his fellow administrators and satraps were so annoyed with him was that he wasn't corrupt like they were. And this was really something that bothered them. And I want you to notice that we who live in the last days of this world's existence, that what will cause our persecution won't be our dishonesty, but will be exactly the words that we found about Daniel. They could find no corruption in him, because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. I want you to notice here that Daniel was a good servant to a heathen king. And God's word counsels me that we must be good servants as if we were serving the King of the universe. That's how we should treat and serve those placed in charge. May God help you in today's life, that you will choose not just to be good to good people, but that you will choose to be good and loyal and a faithful servant to good and bad. And in such a way, you'll be called the sons of God, because God pours his rain out on the wicked and the just. May God bless you today.